Katie Spotz is a world-renowned endurance athlete and humanitarian who has helped raise over $275,000 for safe drinking water projects all around the world. In 2010, she was named Glamour Woman of the Year. Katie has battled nature many times. She swam the 325-mile Allegheny River, and she cycled across America twice. Katie is the youngest person to ever row across the Atlantic Ocean solo. Her world record journey spanned 2,800 miles from Africa to South America, and she did it in 70 days.
It's incredible. 70 days, more than 2,800 miles of open ocean. Why?
Hi, I'm Dr. Carlton Mathis. I'm here today with Katie Spotz to talk about honoring her commitment to row across the Atlantic Ocean alone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
This promise to row across the Atlantic was about more than just personal achievement for you. How did this world record become a charitable act?
So about the same time that I found out about ocean rowing, I was living in Australia and they were experiencing a 10-year drought. So I was seeing firsthand how there were rules on watering your grass and plants and washing your car. And this was in a very developed country. So I found that to be shocking. And that's when I was studying environmental science. And I remember sitting in class one day, one of my professors mentioned that the wars of the future would be on water. And it was that one sentence that changed things for me. And I had this yearning to find out more. So I read up about it, and I am completely shocked that at the time it was 1 in 6 people didn't have clean water. And
Wow, in the world?
In the world.
1 in 6 people in the world.
And here I am, like, I was 19, and I feel like there's a lot of problems in the world, but to not know about something that is the daily struggle for 1 in 6, over 1 billion people, for me not to have any awareness of 1 billion people and their story, it felt wrong to me. So that's kind of where the seed was planted about being able to use endurance for greater good.
With a promise this big, it could be life or death. How do you prepare and plan enough to control your own fate?
I did work about 2 or 3 years planning everything, and there's definitely not a ocean rowing book for dummies. So it was like putting together a 1,000,000-piece puzzle, just trying to figure out how it would all work, and everyone does things differently. So I did a lot of the things that I felt like I needed to do in order to be successful. I did things to learn about the boat, I did things to learn about weather, all the equipment, I did things to learn about how to do the website, and there were lots of pieces of nutrition, but the most important part was my head, right? Like getting my head in a space where I felt like maybe I could handle it. So I did do these meditation retreats. They were like 10-day meditation retreats, meditating 12 hours a day, and there was no human interaction. Although it was with a group of people, there was no talking, no reading, no writing, not even eye contact, because that's a form of communication. So that was probably the most helpful part of preparing to help me, because it gave me practice for all the things that I would have to do on the ocean, because it's really not about the big waves, it's not about the sharks, it's about how I deal with the emotions that arise as a result of the external factors.
Sounds like this process of acceptance was a lengthy process for you personally.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything that happened before the row is what helped me be able to do the row. And other adventurers, other ocean rowers who take on either the rowing challenge or, the Mount Everest, all those big challenges, it's almost like the real challenge happens before the journey. And the journey is just like you work really hard and that's what you get. And I think for someone like me, like, maybe not everyone would think like, yay, I finally get my treat, which is rowing the Atlantic. But when you're working for 2 or 3 years, not knowing if those 2 or 3 years are really going to amount to anything, because there's people who could spend 10 years and never get to the start line. So I felt like the start line was, something to be celebrated equally as, important as actually arriving in South America.
So when did this challenge become real to you? When did it become a promise that you made?
I really struggled with accepting this commitment, and I did go through this process where I tried to talk myself out of it. I don't even know how to row. Like that, when I found out about ocean rowing, I didn't even know how to row. So it was to say it was a leap of faith is a massive understatement. And I didn't know what was going to happen, right? But I knew the next best step. And the next best step was for me just to follow this intuition, follow this calling, and trust that life will, bring me to the right people at the right times, and have faith in the process. So I had nothing. I just had an idea. I didn't have supporters. I didn't have money. I was a broke college kid. I want to share this because I want people to know that no, you don't need to have your parents giving you tons of money and any of those types of excuses like, oh, if I had this, if I had that. I didn't have any money.
So besides yourself, where else did you draw the motivation to keep going?
Like, I don't actually wake up at 6 a.m. and I run in the morning, but like, do I feel motivated before I run? No. Ask me 1 mile in, am I motivated? Yeah, I just ran a mile, I'm all warmed up, I'm motivated now. Very rarely in life do you feel motivated until you actually begin. When I'm working on a project, am I motivated before I write the first 1,000 words? No, I'm not. But after I write the first 1,000 words, am I motivated to keep going? Yes. Like, I don't really see motivation as this thing that happens before the action. And if you're waiting for motivation to come in the mail and be like, yay, I'm here, it might never come. So that's why I'm very much like, yeah, I might not feel like doing it, I'm gonna do it. And, I think with especially with fitness related goals, to just say, commit to the first step, the first 10 minutes, I'm just gonna drive to the gym. Like, once you're there, are you really gonna be like, no, usually that's all it takes is that first step. But I've played all the games, the mental games of things like when you don't wanna do something, or, commitments aren't easy. So your brain tries to figure out little ways of getting out of it. People ask, did I wanna quit? Yeah, absolutely. So if I keep feeding that thought, I wanna quit, that's the only way it grows. I was afraid of having doubts, but now after having doubts, I know what to do with them and just let them exist. Like, having doubts is a natural part of life. Like, sometimes you don't feel like doing it, and that's okay. I don't have to feel motivated all the time. I don't have to feel like a Nike advertisement. I can do it. Yeah, it's totally fine. I think sometimes when you're making a commitment, how can you make it harder to quit? If you want to get more into fitness, do it with a friend. There's one less excuse. Oh, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it by myself. There. Doing something you enjoy. There's just so many ways. I wouldn't have been able to do the row unless other people were helping me get there.